Welcome back. This is episode 14, so that's a full 2 weeks of this project. Today is not really any coding, but we're going to do some stuff in the Ruleset wizard. Basically, we're just padding out some more stuff in the theme. So what we've done today is we've put the sidebar icons in here, so we can see we've got an up icon and a down icon, very similar. We can see that these frames are updated, the smaller frames here are updated, window title list is done. If we go through all of the different tools here, they've all been updated. Most of these will show the same sort of thing, and many of these small ones, all these small ones that we created as part of this project are pretty much all identical. Let's go back up here a bit further. Things like quests. You see the frames are all pretty consistent all the way through. Let's close a few of these windows. We've got our character selection window. You can see there's some subtle differences in some of these windows. You can see this is a group box frame. We've got a little notch here in the corner. When we have a look at, say, the calendar, let's activate a calendar, load some modules up here. Okay, we can close that and we can see a bunch of windows. Calendar options. We'll just choose the Gregorian calendar. We click that in, loads up. We can see here we've got various different frames here. Looks like I've missed this frame. We need to replace whatever this frame is in here. Most of the other items here are already themed pretty closely. When we look at party sheet, these are all themed similarly. We dragged our character in here. If we've got equipment and stuff like that, it'll all show up in here. And our combat tracker. Combat tracker is a little bit different. There's a fair bit of white text here. See, I still need to do something up here because this needs to be a darker background so that the white headings show up properly on here. Let's have a look at what we did in the Ruleset wizard. So you can see here under frames we've got a bunch of frames. If we have a look at base frame 1, 2 and 3, they're quite similar. As I said, basically create a simple graphic that fits with your theme, tweak it a little bit for your different variations. Grey shade is just a semi-transparent grey field. Field dark is a very common frame. It's used for number boxes and things like that. You can see here that little green circle in here, that's the offset. So basically most of this frame, this is quite a small icon we've used here. So if field dark is ever needed to be used in quite a large one, it's a little inefficient because there'll be a lot of tiling. Whereas these ones, it's significantly larger. However, they should probably even still be bigger again. Typically the SmartWorks frames would probably be sort of twice or as long and twice as tall as these ones. Okay, we've got an error here with the CT box. That's possibly been fixed. The sizing, the scale. Dots per inch is really irrelevant when you're looking at a computer screen because it's basically pixels. But the program here, the Ruleset wizard, will give you an error message and it won't display properly if it doesn't get graphics in 96 pixels per inch DPI. I generally use 72 pixels. I've switched over to 96 because of Ruleset wizard. It's just a small change that you need to be aware of. Window title, sidebar. Very strange. So these aren't displaying properly because the Ruleset wizard thinks that these are not in the correct scale. They are, but I may have updated them after I loaded it up. We can see here the chat box. So this is a more standard sort of size frame that you would use for creating these larger ones. Now desktop is a bit more interesting. Desktop, I created an image. I used Dungeon Draft actually, create an image that will go over the page, tile over the page. And again, this image has been updated since I loaded it in here first. Ruleset Wizard won't refresh the image it shows you in the builder until you exit and come back in for objects that you're just updating the graphics for. But we'll see it live on the sheet shortly. Base frame 4, it's just an extension of 1, 2, and 3. Just again, a slight variation. It's hand-drawn frames. This corner here sort of fades out a little bit. They're all just subtle differences. Group box is basically the same frame, just got a little notch on the bottom here. Field light, the same again, but it's got very, very skinny edges. These are possibly even a little bit too small. And they're probably that because they're often used for number fields and things like that, where it might only be 24 pixels high or 30 or 40 pixels wide. Just update that slightly just to make sure it's coming in off the edge of the graphics. We've also created a couple new icons. We've got one for food, for rest. Our melee one, this one looks quite messy, but you'll see on the character sheet it appears correctly. That look a little bit distressed is sort of that hand-drawn look that we're after. Attack frame I didn't end up using. It was a variation we were going to use. Icon. What we've got here: potion purple, potion blue, potion red, potion yellow. Remember, I get a lot of these icons from the Noun project. I have a subscription to that. You can get them for free from the Noun project. You just need to attribute the images when you're doing it. Let's have a quick look at it on the character sheet. So we can see here our character sheet. We've got our attack icon down here. This is actually a rollable field. We've got our potions, so we can roll a potion, recover 6 stamina, and it decremented my potion of health down to 0. We've got a luck potion, magic potion. This is the attack frame. Previous it was down here. We've got provisions. We've got our food icon and a number field for the number of provisions. If we double click either that or that, it will do the action for the provisions. Here's our rest icon. It's most of the icons here, but we can also see we've got our icons on the side, and we can see our desktop icon. If we scale that down to say 50, so it's 4 times the size, we can see here that it scales quite nicely. And I've just nuked the coloring out of it. So it's almost pure monochrome, and lightened it right up, so it's a lot more unobtrusive. So there's all sorts of bits that you have to deal with when you're trying to do a rule set. You got to understand the mechanics. You got to understand the layout and intuitive layout. You got to get the coding and stuff right. And then you want to get some sort of theme going as well. There's lots of different components, and then of course there's content. These rule sets that we're doing at the moment, they're not going to be commercial releases, so there'll be no content coming out with them, or any content coming out with them will be very, very generic. All right. Thank you for joining me for another session. Tomorrow we'll be back doing some more coding. We will be working on the NPC sheet. The NPC sheet will have quite a lot of content on it. A lot of the stuff will be brought in from the PC sheet. Some of it will be new. Will break and mess up the layout. But that'll be a fairly... That video will be somewhat longer than these last few videos. Thanks. I'll see you tomorrow.